Now let's talk about the most pressing issue, the return of international students to China. In the past week, we saw a lot of countries, a couple of countries actually, making adjustments and having some information on when students can return to China. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Business Connect if you're watching me for the first time. It's been 2 weeks since I posted a video on this channel, and some people were asking, like, why haven't you posted a video in over 2 weeks? And I'm going to be explaining the reasons in this video. But if you're my subscriber, you must have noticed that I've been posting some information on my community timeline, very important information on my community timeline. So if you're not yet my subscriber, why not hit that subscription button so that when I post such important information on my community timeline, you will be notified and you'll be the first to see such information. So today's video, we'll be talking about three important things. First of all, I'll be giving you the update of the COVID situation in China, in Shanghai in particular. We'll be talking about updates about Chinese borders and also updates about international students. When will international students return to China? So now let's talk about the COVID situation in China, especially in Shanghai. Yeah, the past few weeks in Shanghai has not been easy. The number of cases went up to about 30,000 cases per day, and the graph finally reached its peak and started going down. Right now, as I record this video, we've achieved zero COVID in all the 16 districts in Shanghai, which means that for the past couple of days, no district in Shanghai has registered a new case. This zero COVID, they call it now societal zero COVID, which means that zero COVID for those who were not in quarantine. But there are still cases for those who were already in quarantine center. So for us who are out of the quarantine, they call it societal cases. So for the past couple of days, we've had zero societal cases. That's a great improvement for Shanghai, and we're gradually seeing Shanghai coming back to normal. The news over the internet says that by the end of May, which means that by early June, everything in Shanghai will be back to normal and people can go out and continue their daily activities. So I didn't post a video in the past 2 weeks because recently there have been a lot of rumors, false information about the situation in China, which has led to a serious crackdown by the government, a serious crackdown on social media platforms, WeChat groups, and other media platforms. It's very common for you to see news today, and in few hours you go to search the same information and it has been taken down. So the government has opened a serious crackdown on false information and the spread of rumors. So I'm just being very careful to post information out. Once information is on the media, you have to look at it again and again and look at other sources to confirm if this information is actually true. So it's very risky to just get information from a single source and you post it on your platform because it can get you into trouble. But that notwithstanding, if I post information on my community timeline, and if I'm doubting this information, I always make it very clearly that this information is from an unofficial source and it needs to be verified. One of the things that went viral a few days ago was that the government or Chinese government has stopped issuing travel documents, passports or visas for Chinese citizens who wanted to travel abroad. This brought a lot of controversial discussions on the social media for a couple of days or for about a week, and the government came and clarified that all the information that China has stopped issuing travel documents or passports for Chinese citizens who want to travel abroad, that all the information was fake. And also, the past few weeks have seen a lot of updates about the travel procedures to China. We all know that although Chinese borders are closed, people are still able to travel in and out of China. But the procedures keep changing, which means that the requirements for this week might be very different from the requirements of next week or next month. Or the requirements of this country might be very different from the requirements of another country. Or the requirements for this group of people might be very different from the requirements of this other group of people. I'm going to post some information about the recent travel updates in my description box. If you're interested to know about such information, I'm going to leave a link to some of the articles at the description box. You can check that out. Another update that I would like to talk about, which is a very clear sign that China still has a very long way to go with the COVID-19 restrictions, is that several cities in China have launched recruitment for COVID-19 testers. Some cities are recruiting over 50,000 permanent workers for COVID-19 testing. Some cities are recruiting 100,000, 200,000. And China is planning to put in place over 750,000 COVID-19 testing centers in different cities in China. And it is estimated that the country will recruit over 1 million COVID-19 testers just for COVID-19 tests. Looking at all this, we will see that the country still has a long way to go with its COVID-19 restrictions. So looking at all this, we can see very clearly that China is not opening its borders anytime soon. But like I always said in most of my videos, this doesn't mean that people cannot travel to China. It only means that the restrictions are going to stay. The number of places open or the quotas per month or per country are going to continue to stay. The number of tests, the number of quarantine days are going to continue to stay. Recently, we've seen that some cities have reduced the number of quarantine days from 14 to 10, some from 10 to 7, and so on. So you can see changes like this are going to continue to stay and be updated every now and then. The major difficulty that people are facing now is the availability of flights, because China keeps canceling flights to and from China every now and then. And even with the availability of a few flights, the cost of a flight ticket now is more than 5, 6, 7 times the normal rate, making it very difficult for an average person to be able to book a flight ticket. Now let's talk about the most pressing issue, the return of international students to China. In the past week, we saw a couple of countries actually making adjustments and having some information on when students can return to China. We saw Malaysia, we saw Pakistan, we saw India, and we actually saw Russia. The students actually arrived in Shenzhen and in Harbin. But the most talked about issue was the cost of their travel, which was so expensive. So recently, students have been asking if their governments cannot assist them, or if the Chinese government cannot assist them in getting chartered flights, then even if the borders are open today, with the cost of flight tickets and with the amount the students spend in quarantine, students might still not be able to return to China even if borders are open. So talking about flight tickets, recently we saw a meeting that was held in Pakistan with government officials and aviation officials to see how they can facilitate the movement of students from Pakistan to China. I think these are the countries that are already very close to returning to China. India was the same thing. They were asked to compile the names of students and the names of students and their measures and their year of study, so that the Chinese government on their side can prepare the list of students that are really in need to return to China. In the case of Pakistan, with over 200 to 250 students that already had their visas, they were made to understand that by the end of May, this first batch of students from Pakistan should already be in China. But now, what about other countries? Students will always come online and say, what about Malaysia? What about Indonesia? What about Nepal? What about Bangladesh? What about students from Africa? And so on. We cannot really tell you the criteria that the government or the diplomatic missions are using to select which country will be next. We've said it will depend on the COVID-19 situation in the country. It will depend also on the number of students that are in that country ready to return. That's why students have been asked to to fill this form, because some students might not be ready to return, some students might not be ready to take vaccination. So from our observation, we can see that it is only from this information that the government will know how many students from which country are ready to return to China. And are they ready to accept the responsibilities, or are they able to bear the responsibilities of returning to China? It is only from this information that we can tell which country will be next. I've also seen information from, I think, Morocco about a planification meeting for the return of international students. So looking at all this, if I were you, an international student, I would just make sure I'm vaccinated. I'll just make sure I'm following up my online classes and keeping up to date with my university and the embassy and so on. So right now, since there's a lot of rumors now about the situation in China, is it too bad? Is it getting better and so on? When will students return? How will the selection process take place? Will it be a chartered flight? Who will pay for the flight? How many days of quarantine? Who will pay for quarantine and so on? If I were you, I would stay in contact with these two authorities, your university and your embassy. These are the places that you can get reliable and official information from. Even if I'm giving you information on this channel, I'm not giving you the information from myself. I'm giving information that I've either seen from the embassy, from the university, or from a source that is related to the embassy or related to the university or related to the Ministry of External Relations in China. Any other source of information that you get is very doubted. But that said, that notwithstanding, if you still get or if you hear any information that is related to any of these issues, even if it's from an official source or not, you can still let us know, and we will diagnose it in our own way, and we will ask other people's opinion to verify to know if this information is true. Because most of the times it is believed that there is no smoke without fire. If there is rumors about something, maybe something is cooking in the background. So if you have any information, still share with us either in the comment section of this video or in the comment section of any of my videos or posts, or you can go ahead and send us an email. I'm going to display the email address on the screen so that we can share it with other students, and together we can diagnose the information to tell if it is true or not true. So also some information that I got, which I'm not very sure if it's from an official source, is that 200 students from each country will be selected based on priority to return to China. And after these 200 students from each country, if the outcome is good, then more students will be selected from these countries to join either before or after September. Well, this information, I have not seen an official source of this information, but it can be related to what the minister said in one of the press conferences, that all students will not be able to return to China at the same time, that small groups of students will be selected from different countries based on priority. He said this very clearly in one of the press conferences, that students will be selected in small groups based on priority. But he didn't mention a number, and he didn't mention if it's going to be now or later. So on this slide, if I have more information about this, I'm going to let you guys know. And it's not every time I'm going to do a video. There are some information that I can't do a complete video to talk about. If I get some information, I can just post it on my community timeline. And if you're my subscriber, you're going to get notified. So if you don't want to miss any of my posts, please hit that subscription button. Join us on the channel so that when I bring posts, when I bring videos like this, you'll be notified and you'll be the first to watch our videos. Until now, thank you so much for watching the video up to this end. I'll see you in our next video. Peace out and bye-bye.